Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Bedford. Nick Anastas, along with special guest Eric Coburn, getting set for this week's edition of the FNLNH Lacrosse Show. It's presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. We're live, of course, here at the Beals Insurance Studios. Busy week, busy show coming up as we get right to it with Bedford head coach Matt Johansmeyer in about 15 or so minutes. Bedford off to a good start despite yesterday's setback against Londonderry. Then our New Hampshire Tomahawk Star of the Week will join us on the phone. That's Exeter senior Spencer Clark. A big showdown looming tomorrow against BG. 9:45, Campbell head coach Josh Knight will join us on the program. The Cougars looking good in Division III, and the Syracuse alum is also the athletic director over there at Campbell. We switch gears, top of hour number 2 with Mike Skiamana, St. Anselm, as hot as anybody in the NCAA Division II landscape, so he'll join us live from the hilltop. But right now, we welcome in our co-host, a special alumni of both the New Hampshire Tomahawks and the Londonderry Lancers and the Merrimack Warriors, Eric Coburn. Eric, thanks for coming down.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We'll get into the NHIAA scene in a moment. I want to touch on your background a little bit. You're a 2014 grad of Londonderry, a national champion at Merrimack in 2018. Lacrosse obviously sounds like has been and still is a big part of your life.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, it's opened a ton of opportunities for me. This is actually going to be my 10th year as part of the Tomahawks program. 2011, my freshman year, was the first year I was a part of the program. So I was thinking about that, and I was like, wow, decade already, and it's been awesome. But Coach Cameron and all the people I've come in contact with through lacrosse has given me so much. So I just love to stay involved with it.
So who's your team over there with the Tomahawks? Who are you coaching?
Currently, right now, for the spring, I have 2026s and I have 2029s.
So what year? How old
season.
Is that?
So 2026s are
8th grade?
7th graders,
Seventh,
and then
okay.
2029s are 4th graders. So.
And how's that been like working with kids that age?
It's been good. The 2029s I had in the fall, and they were the youngest kids I've ever worked with, but they're awesome. I mean, they're just so excited to play, and it's just that passion is just like kind of infectious, and just to be around that, it's
right.
exciting.
Right.
Same thing with the 26s. I mean, they just love playing. We had a great practice on Friday night. The kids were flying around, coaches were hopping in the drills, and it was just a great energy, and it's just fun to be around.
Let me ask you this: since you've been immersed really in all levels of the game, as a player, as a coach, the last decade, you've kept an eye, no matter where you've been, whether it's been down in Massachusetts, out in England, you've kept an eye on the New Hampshire scene, both at the high school and youth levels. Have you seen that growth that we seem to hear so much about, that I've personally witnessed as well? It seems like that lacrosse, boys and girls, really is the most popular and fastest growing sport, not just in New Hampshire, but really in the region and in the country.
Yeah, no, 100%. The level of skill that these kids have at this age now compared to what my teams have when I was playing in high school, it's not even comparable. I have kids doing behind the backs and around the world finishes and practices. My middle school kids, when I was in high school, that was something that only like the very, very best players in New Hampshire are kind of doing. Kids are doing it at such a young age now. It's just awesome to see, and the popularity it's gotten even bigger.
What do you attribute that to? What's the main factor? Why has it caught fire over the last decade or so, the sport itself?
I think it's just a great sport that kind of provides the athleticism and some of the skills of other sports. It's kind of got the teamwork and the offensive flow of kind of like a basketball. It's got a little bit of the physicality of football. It's kind of got the hand-eye finesse of hockey, and that kind of, I think that speaks to a lot of kids. If you look at the kids who play lacrosse, a lot of them play other sports. A lot of those basketballs, a lot of hockey, a lot of football. So I think it really translates, and it's an appealing option in the spring season.
I agree. I like the pace of the game too. It's fast.
Yep.
It's action packed for sure. So no surprise there. You saw this Londonderry program. You were a big part of it actually in 2014. You guys made a Final Four trip. What'd you say, your sophomore season, right?
Sophomore and junior year, we were fortunate enough to go twice. Yeah.
And now this year, Londonderry, we'll touch on them in a moment under Roger Sampson. They're considered potentially a Final Four team yet again. That program specifically, what have you seen that's different with this year's group, this year's landscape, COVID aside, obviously, from when you were playing back in 2014?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like the rest of the state, the skill set's gotten so much higher. When back in March, when the seasons were kind of shut down, I was kind of going through old clips on my laptop and seeing some of the old high school clips and just looking at the skill set of what we had back then, and then looking at it now, it's unbelievable how much more skilled some of these kids are, and it's great to see.
Right, it really is. All right, let's get down to the NHIAA landscape. First of all, the big game is tomorrow night. That's undefeated Bishop Girton versus undefeated Exeter. We're going to talk with Spencer Clark, the Exeter standout, the senior, at the bottom of the hour. But all eyes are going to be on Bill Ball Stadium tomorrow afternoon. We're going to be there for that 4 o'clock start. Our coverage gets underway at about 3:45. BG, no problem with their only out-of-state opponent yesterday. They were at Cape Elizabeth and took it to them. Representing New Hampshire well there. They stay unbeaten. Exeter, meanwhile, they've not only been racking up wins, but blowing people out, similar to BG. This week, a two-game series with Salem, no problem either way, 18-1, 18-2. They beat aforementioned Londonderry about a week or so ago, 21-8. They've got back-to-back wins over Souhegan and Nashua South as well. This is going to be a big test for both teams, obviously. We talk about how Exeter has kind of arrived, but BG as well. They're going to have a test with the Blue Hawks, and I assume that they're 1-2 in the minds of many, I know, but in the minds of you as well. That should be a barn burner, so to speak, tomorrow night. And as a player, I imagine that's got to be a great feeling going into a highly anticipated game with that kind of fanfare, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. When you have two undefeated teams in the state and you know that you have a game that a lot of people are going to have their eyes on, and you have, I mean, there are D1 commits littered all between both Exeter and Bishop Girton. So it's the premiere for what New Hampshire high school lacrosse has to offer this year. So there are definitely going to be a lot of eyes on that game, and that fires you up as a player. The more eyes you have on you, the more fired up and more ready to go you're going to be to play.
Londonderry yesterday went to Bedford and prevailed on this program, by the way, 10-6. It was our Friday Night Lights New Hampshire game of the week. That was a 5-5 game midway through the third, and then the final quarter or so, Londonderry was able to put it away, grab the momentum, and again finish it off 10-6. As an alum, what'd you think there with your guys coming away with that road victory?
Yeah, I mean, Bedford has been one of the historically very, very good teams, having a very good year as well. So any time that you can get a win against a team like that and kind of put yourself in position to kind of get a home, hopefully, I know it's a little different this year with the open tournament, so we're not sure how the seeding is going. But to be able to get a win against a program like that kind of show that you know that your team has the qualities to make a run at things it's great to see. And I thought the ride was excellent yesterday. And I know the senior class this year, they have a lot of seniors and they've seen a lot of adversity. So to see them kind of be able to pull away in the end in a tough fought game was good to see. Yeah,
you mentioned the adversity part. Their captain, their fallen captain, Jacob Nahr, who unfortunately passed away back in February. Still a big presence down there on the sideline. The club put together a flag, a custom flag. I'm not sure quite what went into that, but it was waving there on the sideline yesterday. And after that 0-2 start against BG, where they really didn't, in fairness, have a lot of time to get prepared there with the passing of Jacob Nahr and then a COVID outbreak, only really 3 days to get ready for those two games out of the chute against arguably the best team in the state. Didn't go so well, but since then, they've rattled off now 5 of 6, including wins over Merrimack and Concord 2 apiece, and the aforementioned 10-6 victory yesterday at Bedford. The only blemish, I mentioned it earlier, was at Exeter back on April the 24th. So it seems like Londonderry has gotten their legs underneath them at this point.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's never easy to start with BG to open up your season twice and then to have a short prep for it. That's never easy. But
can there be a silver lining there, though? You get thumped, so to speak, early on, but then you learn, you get better from it and move forward. Is that the case here?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the only bad losses are, in my opinion, are ones that you don't really learn from. So any loss that you can kind of learn from the mistakes you made and kind of go back and look at the tape and kind of see what you need to do better as a team and then fix those things in practice, you can definitely flip those losses into a positive, especially against a team like BG. I mean, they're definitely going to kind of expose what you need to work on, that's for sure. So kind of understanding what you need to work on in practice will definitely help.
The only bad losses are ones you don't learn from. I like that.
Yep.
I'm going to have to write that down somewhere. All right, Bedford, meanwhile, you touched on it. Great start for the Bulldogs. We'll talk again with Matt Johansmeyer, third-year head coach, in just a moment. But back-to-back wins against Concord to begin the season. Then they gave Pinkerton a test on the road, fell in that game, but an admirable close game where the Astros pulled away. 12-6 was the final there. Bedford followed it up with back-to-back wins over Salem, a win over Windham, and then against next-door neighbor, Souhegan, they get a lopsided victory to begin the week, 15-5, and then the Sabres took them to overtime before Bedford pulled away 10-9. Again, they fell yesterday, 10-6 against Londonderry. They'll have Merrimack coming up. But the Bulldogs have played kind of the underdog role, at least in the minds of many in the media. You know, you mentioned it, Bedford year in and year out, considered one of those Final Four teams. A lot of those in the know weren't quite sure what to think of Bedford this year. They've, I think, turned that opinion around a little bit after this hot start, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. They definitely put some nice wins together, and their coach is in their third year now, even though technically he missed that last year. No one really. So it's really his second season, and then trying to build that momentum. Obviously, a very good program when Coach Gerard was there, and so kind of trying to continue that momentum going there. And it seems like he's done a good job of kind of getting them off on the right foot. I know they got a couple seniors who are some good players. I know they have one or two D1 commits, so that definitely those leaders have kind of stepped up and helped kind of get them off to a good start.
Elsewhere, Pinkerton, only one game, I believe, this week. It was a lopsided win over Merrimack, 16-1, kind of a get-right game for the Astros after falling twice last week against Bishop Girton. And then a tough start for both Souhegan and Salem in Division I as they continue to search for their first victory of the season. In D2, on the boys' side, well, we know about Derryfield, how good they've been, the defending champ now 3 years running. Merrimack took them to a one-goal game yesterday, 11-10. This on the heels of Oyster River taking the Cougars to overtime back on Friday. So Derryfield, they're still undefeated. They're, I guess, learning those lessons, how to win those close games, which can be important. But it seems like maybe the gap between Derryfield and everyone else has narrowed a bit in Division II.
Yeah, that could definitely be a possibility. Obviously, Derryfield has been kind of the standard in that division for the past couple of years, and Coach Hetler always has his guys ready. And when you're kind of at the top of the mountain, you're going to get your best punch from all the other teams. So right. Derryfield's definitely going to get everyone's best look, and like you said, just trying to learn from these close games and trying to learn how to win in these difficult kind of adversity circumstances and using that momentum for when playoffs come, your team's at your best ability. Yeah,
Ryan Etzo sent everybody home in overtime against Oyster River with a goal early on. We're going to be at Oyster River, by the way, this week. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. But sticking with D2 on the boys' side, Hollis Brookline, considered maybe the top challenger in Division II to Derryfield's crown. The Cavs are still unbeaten, no problem against Keene their last time out, 15-2. And then you've got Hanover kind of lurking over there on the western front, so to speak. They're unbeaten early on, at least according to the NHIAA website. Wins over Alvern and then back-to-back wins against nearby Lebanon, off to a good start there. On the girls' side, we were down in the Gate City yesterday for a big showdown between BG and Souhegan, two of the title contenders in Division I. Coach Leslie Y had BG ready to go. Souhegan, to their credit, under Coach McKinley Currow, came out very good, very defensive-oriented. Their goaltender, Shannon Hargraves, kept them in the game. That was just a 7-6 halftime lead for Bishop Girton. Riley Bouvier, the junior Stanford commit, scored 2 goals in the final minute of the first half to give BG the lead. So little uncertainty for the unbeaten Cardinals going into that second half, but in the end they take care of business. Bouvier, part of a 6-goal effort, led the way in that second half. Our former New Hampshire Tomahawk Player of the Week, Lindsey Holt, was active both ways there, and a big second half ended up giving BG a 6-goal win in the end, 14-8. But that was fun to watch. It was fun to call. It was up and down. The officials let them play, so to speak. And in the end, it was a very entertaining, a very close game. What do you gain overall from these kind of, I don't know if mid-season is the right word. I don't know if we're there yet. We're close. But, those early/mid-season matchups between two big teams, is there anything really to gauge, or do sometimes we maybe put too much stock in these early matchups because all the marbles are going to be on the table later in the playoffs, obviously?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. I mean, the most important thing is that you win your last game of the year. No one really remembers what you do in the regular season. It's about what you do in the postseason. But I think there is, like we kind of talked about earlier, that measuring stick of kind of seeing where you're at when you hit that adversity. Maybe you get a loss you didn't think you were going to get. Maybe it's a closer game than you thought it was going to be. Kind of going back and, like I said, checking the film and learning about what you need to do better and practice that next week to kind of fix that for when, like you said, it's for all the marbles. You have your best foot forward. And
sometimes a big win can rub off, too, the right way. It can give your team an extra energy boost, I think, that next week in practice. Whereas if you lose one of those big games, you put too much stock in it, then maybe it can serve as a detriment, right? Emotionally, kind of a letdown type of thing. Or how do you handle that? I mean, you've obviously been in those situations in both the NHLAA and the NCAA. How do you come off a big loss if you're a Salhegan, or how do you come off a big win like Bishop Girton?
Yeah, I think it starts with the seniors and the coaching staff and kind of how you handle the loss and kind of how you relay the message to the team. I know at Merrimack, whenever we had a loss, we used that as kind of we're not as good as you think you are, and we got to get back to work and finding that it's all about finding that fine line between humbling yourselves and letting you know you have a lot of work to do, but at the same time not pressing the panic button where you kind of lose yourself in what you're trying to accomplish and try to start completely from scratch.
Right.
So it's kind of finding that fine line.
That middle ground, which is tough.
Yeah, it is.
For both players and coaches sometimes. All right, we will step aside when we come back. Matt Johansmeyer of Bedford, Bulldogs head man. He's got two little kids at home, too, so we're not going to keep him too long. But he does join us next. You are watching the FNLNH Lacrosse Show. It's presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school, varsity, and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. Back here on the FNLNH Lacrosse Show, Nick and Astis, Eric Coburn with you. We've got Matt Johansmeyer of Bedford on the line coming up in about 10 minutes or so. It's our New Hampshire Tomahawk Star of the Week, Exeter's senior, Spencer Clark, headed to Bryant. Big game tomorrow between undefeated Exeter and undefeated Bishop Girton. We'll be there at Bill Ball Stadium, 4 o'clock for that one, and we'll be underway at about 3:45 with the pregame. Again, that's tomorrow, 4 o'clock, Exeter hosting Bishop Girton, our Friday Night Lights New Hampshire game of the week. In about 25 minutes, we'll touch base with Campbell's athletic director / boys head coach Josh Knight, former Syracuse standout, will join us to talk about the hot start that his team, the Cougars, have gotten off to. And then a full NCAA picture with Mike Skiamana, head coach of St. Ansem, comes your way at 10 o'clock. But right now, we welcome in Bedford head coach Matt Johansmeyer joining us on the phone. Coach, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. I found out yesterday you've got a pair of babies, twins, 15 months old. How is that been juggling their upbringing, your team, their needs, the COVID-19 situation? It sounds like a full-on board juggling act. How have you done it?
Yeah, it's been a wild year, and I'm blessed to have a amazing wife that's able to support everything going on at home while I'm with the team and taking care of business away from home. So 15-month-old twin boys and a 4-year-old daughter is certainly added to a challenge to the mix this year.
Yeah, I would say so. Good answer, by the way. Bringing up the wife and giving her props right away.
I owe her everything.
I'm sure she's going to appreciate that. Your team, off to a great start. Forget about yesterday for a moment. You came out, you rang some bells right out of the gate, a couple of blowout wins. You played Pinkerton tough on the road. You came back against Souhegan this week with first, again, a double-digit win, and then a gutsy overtime victory. It seems like your team is seeing a little bit of everything in the first 8 or 9 games here this season. You proud of the way your guys have gotten off to this start?
I'm very proud of the way that the boys have been able to bring it every day. I think that the home and home schedule, is kind of a challenge because you see the same team within 3 days, and it's if you have a lopsided game on one end of it, it's a mental challenge on that second round, and I've been very proud about the way that we've been able to bounce back and take care of business with those home and home games.
Yeah, staying with the home and home situation, it seems like the trend, at least in my eyes, has been that the first game has been kind of lopsided, the second game very tight, not just with you and Souhegan, but with a couple of different teams. Why is that, Coach? Is it maybe because the coaching staff has a better grip, the players have a better idea of what they're up against the second time around, or why does it seem to be tighter in that second matchup?
Yeah, I think it's multiple things. I think that you can make your adjustments. The team that lost is certainly able to make adjustments and bring a different look that second round. And then I think the team on the other end of it, it's kind of a mental. It's that mental battle of how do you refocus and come back and ready to bring it and not you can't just expect that same result to happen. You got to earn everything that's going to come in that second game, and it's really that mental hurdle of checking back in and expecting a total different opponent for that second round.
Coach, obviously your first year was in 2019. Coach Gerard had a lot of success with the program, and then 2020 gets cut short. What are some of the challenges being your first year being in 2019, trying to continue on that momentum, kind of continue that culture, and then the season gets cut short in 2020? How has that been picking back up in 2021 to kind of continue off of the momentum from 2019?
Yeah, it's certainly been an interesting path, right? 2019 we fell a little short, missing the playoffs, but I thought we had good building blocks with the team culture, and then we came into the fall of 2019 and we had a good core group in the weight room, and then with those open turf sessions before, the ones that we were able to get in, I thought we had a good momentum heading into 2020, and then when that got cut short. So then this year, the fall was a little different. We weren't able to get into the weight room, and then we were able to get some of the open turf sessions in, but they looked a little bit different than they had in the past because we were missing. We weren't able to have those winter sport guys there because we didn't want to. We had to limit their exposures, and you didn't want to knock out anybody from their in-season sport. So it's definitely been a little bit different of a progression, but certainly happy with the way that we're building it and continuing to go this year. So, these juniors, last time I saw them, they were freshmen. So It was kind of coming into it where we weren't exactly sure what we had, but I think, a big step to help push this program in the right direction was hiring on Matt Howe this off season as our JV and varsity assistant. He's been a huge help with the goaltenders and the defense and just overall helping out with the program. I think that's a huge addition to the staff with myself and John Roth. Matt has come up huge this year.
Coach, you've got 4 listed captains here. I believe they're all seniors. They are.
Yep.
William Enners, Quinlan Kerr, Max Maniello, and Connor Augusto. Tell me about that group. Who are, I mean, obviously you're a captain, you're a leader, but what are their roles specifically within the locker room and within the program?
Yeah, they're doing an outstanding job. They're helping with, getting the minds right and establishing that team culture and team mentality to bring in the energy every single day. And we have a nice little spread. There's someone from, the defensive end, the D mid end, the offensive mids and the attack. So they're helping bring in the energy for each position group and getting the focus where it needs to be.
Yeah. I'd imagine, Coach, you may have to lean on them or have had to lean on them a little bit more than perhaps you thought you would have to given the COVID-19 situation. And like Eric just brought up, having a year off and, not being in touch with those guys daily like maybe you were used to. Does the captain, the student athlete, the leaders within the team, have you seen them step up over the last, 13 or so months to act in a lot of ways kind of an extension of your staff? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, and I think it goes beyond those 4 as well. I think that the senior group in general has taken on that role of pushing the guys where they need to go, and the juniors have certainly caught on. And I just, this group, this full group has done a great job, working together to try to get themselves where they need to be to get to this point.
All right, Coach, final question. You've got Merrimack coming up this week, the home and home. You're on the road, I think on Thursday, and then next weekend. Oh, no, you've got them at home this week and then on the road next weekend. Those are the next 2 games coming up against the Tomahawks. Aside from the obvious, which is to come away with a pair of wins, what would you like to see your club, how would you like to see them get better this week? What would you like to see them accomplish outside of grabbing a couple of victories?
Yeah, so big game Thursday. It's our senior night, so we get to honor that senior group before the game, which will be nice. And then what I'd like to see on the outcome, right, is obviously for those that watched yesterday, we got to get back to clearing the ball a little bit better, and then building our game IQ. I think is something that we always need to progress on, and taking care of both sides of the ball, right? So if we've had that long defensive stand, we got to then take care of the defense with a good long possession and take some pressure off them and things like that. So developing our game IQ is something that we always want to work on. And then in between the boxes is something we definitely need to clean up after yesterday.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks again. Good luck this week, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much for having me on. Have a great week.
Thank you. That, again, is Bedford Bulldog boys head coach Matt Johansmeyer. What'd you think?
I thought it was great. He said a lot of the right things that we want to hear from a coach, and what he said about the seniors and leaning on those captains and getting better in practice this week and trying to keep that, like we kind of talked about earlier, learning from that loss and improving as the season goes on. What
kind of relationship did you have with your head coaches, both at Londonderry and at Merrimack?
Two different relationships, I think. And at Londonderry, definitely, I bounced a lot of ideas back and forth, and they communicated a lot with me. And I think it's the similarities between high school and college is a lot of the times to rely on those seniors to kind of be that kind of communicator, to kind of relay the message to the team. And I think that's really important, and that's what a lot of the captains do. Aside from just being good leaders and setting the right example, it's kind of being a liaison. Yeah, right? Liaison, exactly. Kind of translating, kind of relaying that message from the coach, and sometimes kids in the team might relay and understand a little bit more coming from a player, and it might be easier to translate and have different conversations with different kids depending on their personality. So kind of, like you said, being that liaison between the two. Yeah. Well, Bedford looking to get back on their feet, as we mentioned, against Merrimack this week. Big. Did I say that enough? Big game tomorrow afternoon. BG and Exeter, both are unbeaten, both widely considered the two best teams in Division I, a potential
championship preview. We're on the air tomorrow afternoon, 3:45. Opening face-off comes your way at 4. Tomahawk, Star of the Week, and Exeter senior Spencer Clark is next. You are watching the FNLNH Lacrosse Show, presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school varsity and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. Back here on the FNLNH Lacrosse Show. It's presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. We are live every Sunday through lacrosse season. That means from now till mid-June. If you can't watch the show live, don't worry about it. We've got the archives up for you for free on our YouTube channel. That's FNLNH Media on YouTube. Again, at FNLNH Media. We want to thank Matt Johansmeyer of Bedford for jumping on. We've got Josh Knight, head coach of Campbell, coming up in about 10 minutes or so. NCAA talk in hour number 2 with Mike Skiamana, the St. Anselm head coach. But right now we bring in our New Hampshire Tomahawks Star of the Week, Exeter senior Spencer Clark. Welcome aboard, Spencer. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We'll touch a little bit on that big matchup tomorrow with BG in just a moment, but I'd like to ask you a little bit about your lacrosse background. How'd you get into the game? It seems like the name Clark is big in lacrosse circles. You've got some family who have come before you, but how did you personally get involved with lacrosse, and how big has that gotten in terms of where you are now as a senior?
Yeah, I started out in 3rd grade. I was originally playing baseball, and when I lived in Connecticut, one of my good friends was a lacrosse guy and got me into it. My dad got 2 sticks for him and I on Father's Day, and we played baseball and lacrosse that 3rd grade year, and then after that was lacrosse on. And at the time I was wrestling and playing football, so I grew to love it, and it's what I wanted to play in my future. So
yeah, Eric and I were talking a little bit earlier about a lot of the similarities between football and lacrosse. Is that one of the reasons, one of the big reasons that it was attractive early on?
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely more physical than baseball, and between wrestling and football, my friend and I were just looking to get out there and have some fun, be physical, and we grew to love the game. So
right.
It's helped in multiple ways.
Right. Well, you've gotten some good guidance, at least at the high school level, with Coach Ball, I'm sure, on the sideline,
sure.
and now Coach Jerry Hawley as well on the lacrosse front. You guys are unbeaten. You've gotten off to a great start. Everybody knew or thought that you guys would be good this year, potentially as the top challenger in Division I to Bishop Girton. How do you guys look at that? Do you play into the expectations? Are you proud of them? That you're held in high regard, or is that just media noise that doesn't exist outside the locker room?
I think we'll see tomorrow where we stand, and we're not going to go in hot-headed or thinking we're above any team this year. We're just going to stay focused and hopefully make it to the championship this year. And I think we'll be fine. I think we're taking it as we're not getting ahead of ourselves, but we know that we're confident this year with the guys we have, and we're just using that to win each game.
Spencer, going into the matchup with BG, individually, they obviously have some very talented pulls. With Sullivan going to West Point, and then Hearns going to Villanova, and then Craney going to Merrimack. I'm not sure how BG, who will match up with you, but going into that individually, do you see that as a challenge you look forward to, knowing that there's going to be a good one-on-one matchup?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I play tomahawks with those guys in the summer, and we're friends outside of lacrosse, so it's going to be fun to play against them. But this year, I would say years past, it's been a tough matchup-wise against BG. I know 2 years ago we played Pinkerton to a 2-goal game, and we matched up better against them, and we'd always had a tough time with BG. But this year, we definitely have more depth than years past. I think our starting six is they have the three very good poles with them, but we also have guys who can step up and take over at any time. This year we've had probably 6 or 7 guys with hat tricks throughout the season, and different from years past, it's just we have so much talent throughout our offense and defense that if they can take away one guy, they can take away 2 guys, but those other 4 and then guys coming off the bench who are very talented, it's going to be tough to stop everyone.
How much do you attribute that to the program, the culture that you've gotten over there at Exeter? It seems like the numbers are up. You mentioned you've got more guys with skill that have helped take some of that burden off your shoulders, so to speak. I know Exeter's always been strong, traditionally one of the better teams in Division I, but have you seen the growth firsthand during the last 3 or 4 years that you've been a part of that program?
Definitely. This senior group, we've been together since I joined late. I was in 5th grade, 6th grade, and we've been playing together since 3rd and 4th grade, and we were dominant through youth, and we've got guys who've really in the past year over quarantine, they've just become just grown so much as players. Jackson Hale, Hayden Lechner, who are 2 senior middies, alongside Connor and I, they've really stepped up, and they can take over a game at any point whenever we need them to. So I think the senior class has just really grown over the past 2 years. Since they were ready to go last year, but I think quarantine helped them out a lot, getting bigger in the weight room. We've got a lot of guys who've just grown physically, got better stick skills, and we're just trying to be as sharp mentally as possible. So the group has just gotten stronger, and I think we have like 16 seniors on the team, might be more, but yeah, overall I think we've just the senior group and the youth program throughout middle school and below, it's just there's guys coming in every year, and it's the guys, like, we're getting guys to stay, and it's been good. We have a lot of talent coming through.
And again, given the COVID-19 situation, how challenging that has been on a number of levels over the last 13 months, how has that impacted you? I mean, obviously you lose your junior season right there out of the back on the negative side, but it seems like it hasn't stopped your unit from, quote-unquote, getting better during quarantine, as you just said. What else besides hitting the weight room, what else besides, some of the drills and stuff have you done to keep your guys engaged, keep them fresh over this last year, and ultimately keeping them on a trajectory to improve to the point where you're unbeaten now 7 or 8 games into the season. What else has gone into that process over the last year or so?
Yeah, obviously it's hard to replicate the tempo of a real game when you're in a quarantine. But last year we were getting guys out. We were getting out to a field, having as many guys as we could that could show up and be safe, getting out shooting, one-on-ones. We took it. It really was having all this time off gave us just more time to play lacrosse because it was better than sitting around in your house. So
right,
everyone was excited, and I don't think it made anyone worse. I think like from what I've seen, guys just got better over that quarantine. Everyone's offhand has got better, just hitting the wall. And then once we got back and rolling between indoor and then we were having some captain's practices, we're just trying to get that tempo back for guys who didn't play summer ball or fall lacrosse. Just getting back into the groove of making split decisions and trying to be ready for the season. So I think we've been off to a good start, and tomorrow will be a good test to see where we're at. And I'm confident with the guys we have this year. So
yeah. You're going to Bryant next season. Eric, I know had a follow-up question there because it seems like there's a big recruiting class across New Hampshire that's going to be joining you down there.
Yeah, Spencer, obviously you got Mason Druins there now, you got Nate Liberty, and then you got Ben Abladim, who are all 2020 Tomahawk kids. How excited are you to play with those guys and just in general play at the next level at Bryant?
I couldn't be more excited. Throughout my recruiting process, Nate and Mason were talking to me, they weren't nagging. They were just telling me how great it is there, and that they got something going with these recruitment classes. We between Mason, Nate, and Ben, they're already killing it there right now, and I know they have a bunch of freshmen who are lighting it up this season. So I couldn't be more excited to get there next year and try and contribute to the success that they're having right now.
Yeah, it sounds like that's a budding program in a lot of ways for sure. Well, we appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow. We'll be there with the live broadcast, and we wish you luck there, not just with the game against BG, but this season all in all. Seems like a special one shaping up for you guys over there at Exeter. We appreciate your time. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Thanks
for
having me.
Thank you. Again, that's the New Hampshire Tomahawk Star of the Week, Spencer Clark of Exeter. Well-spoken, certainly sounded like a captain in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. Well-spoken, and I've loved watching him play. I mean, he's really kind of like a do-it-all midfielder. I think he's been taking a couple face-offs for them, and just athletically, obviously he said he played football, and you can see that athleticism on the lacrosse field.
You see that football mentality at times, too. That
100%. Yep, he'll attack you
right
downhill, and he's not afraid to get physical with you, but he also has that speed and that quickness. He's a tough cover for sure. So I'm excited to see how he matches up tomorrow. Yeah,
again, reminder, we'll be on the air tomorrow. Exeter, BG, both unbeaten. First meeting of the season. Highly anticipated. Opening face-off, 4 o'clock. Our coverage begins at 3:45 here on FNLNH Media. Coming up, we'll touch base with Campbell head coach Josh Knight, former Syracuse standout, also the athletic director at Campbell High School. The Cougars may be one of the teams to beat in Division III. We'll ask Coach about that next. You're watching the FNLNH Lacrosse Show. It's presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school, varsity, and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. Well, we're closing in on hour one already. Time flies here on the FNLNH Lacrosse Show, presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. We thank Tomahawk Player of the Week, Spencer Clark, senior for Exeter. Exeter BG tomorrow, by the way, 4 o'clock. And we also thank the Bedford head coach, Matt Johansmeyer. He's very busy this morning with a lot of youngsters over there at home. A couple of 15-month-old twins and a 4-year-old daughter. That's a handful. We got Mike Skiamana. Speaking of handful, St. A's, they've been a handful for everybody in the NE10. They came off a quarterfinal win yesterday. We'll talk with Coach in about 10 minutes or so. But right now, we turn the floor over to Josh Knight, the Campbell boys head coach. He's also the athletic director at the high school. He joins us now on the FNLNH Lacrosse Show. Coach, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. We appreciate you coming on. We were there in Manchester Tuesday when your club came away with an impressive win over Trinity. It seemed like, in that game at least, your defense was the dominating factor. Is that fair to say? Is this a talented group led by the defense here? I know you've got some goal scorers and some players on the attack too, but that defensive unit really caught my eye, at least, on Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, I want to approach every game kind of from the defensive end because it really dictates how the rest of the game is going to go. Our offensive guys have a real good IQ of what's going on, but we definitely want to start it, especially with our sophomore goalie, Ryan Garrett. Start everything there. If we can create communication, create turnovers there. Big transition game that we were trying to implement into our team. So the more we can do that, the easier we can make it on our offense.
Yeah, you mentioned the goaltender, sophomore, Ryan Garrett. He really stood out at times, flashed some quickness. How good can he be potentially, Coach, given, again, that he's only a sophomore?
Yeah, the limit. There is no limit with him right now. And just creating a better understanding of the game, seeing what's going on. Just his growth over the last 2 months has been huge. He's really starting to take charge, letting the defense know slides, picks, what's going on with the transition game. I think it'll be real interesting and fun to see where he ends up and grows by the time he's a senior.
How about the hot start you guys are off to? 4-2 on the year. You went out and challenged yourself against a very good Division II opponent in the first 2 games of the season and fell short, but gave a good effort. A 16-10 final in the season opener, and then just a 1-goal difference against the Cavaliers in game number 2. You followed that up with your first win of the season at Milford in blowout fashion, 13-2. Another win over the Spartans a few days later, 16-8, and then back-to-back wins against a stubborn Trinity team, as we mentioned this week. Was that the idea, Coach? Challenge your group with that Hollis Brookline booking right at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because you see things from the AD side as well. We have these clusters with COVID going on, and I saw once we put the clusters together, and then you have Hollis Brookline to start, you do a little research, and you're like, well, it's going to be an aggressive start for a team. So kind of throwing them right into the mix and seeing what we're made of. I could not have been more proud of how those guys played to start the season, considering we haven't really played in 2 years. So I was excited to see that come out, and now we'll just start getting after it the rest of the season. Yeah,
Coach, you're originally from upstate New York. You went to Syracuse. I know Eric's got a few questions on that front in just a moment. But how did you end up in Litchfield, New Hampshire, as the athletic director at Campbell High School? Just curious.
Yeah, I mean, my wife and I were down in Connecticut, right outside of New York City for a couple of years. I was an athletic director down in the Bronx. And we have friends and family that live in the Boston area. We came up here, and I love New Hampshire. We would go out here in Vermont and go to New Hampshire, go skiing when we were kids, and to be able to come back upstate. And it has the same type of vibe as upstate New York. So it's really nice to come back to here. As much as I love New York City, it's nice to see some trees and grass.
Right. And how about the school itself, Coach? How has that transition been now, being the AD at Campbell? What's that been like?
It's been amazing. I mean, the kids, the families in town, it's a small community, which allows you to really get an opportunity to meet everybody and work with everyone that's there. And that's kind of the best part. Everyone's there to kind of help out.
Coach, obviously you come from a really historic program at Syracuse. I believe you won a couple of national titles there. How, from a culture standpoint, what are you trying to bring to your program at Campbell, and how have the kids kind of been receptive of that, and how have they kind of taken it and moved it forward?
I think the biggest thing that I'm trying to bring over from Syracuse is just the energy with the game in all aspects. Whether we're doing a warm-up lap to start practice, you're doing in practice, creating competitions, and then bringing that over to the game. The more energy we can bring, the better the rest of the game can be. And that's really the most important part.
Yeah. Well, Coach, your team, as I mentioned, good start. You've got another challenging week coming up with the Pelham Pythons. What are the expectations with your group here, given this 4-2 start, given the landscape of Division III? Is a championship the goal here, or is that still something that's far away? 6 weeks or so down the road, far away. But what are the reasonable expectations, and what are the expectations that you set with this group of players?
Realistically, with me being new to New Hampshire, I really had no idea coming in. I mean, you can do your research, you can look at it, but so much has changed over the last 2 years.
Right.
Some kids picked up the game. Some kids are just learning the game. I mean, we're changing positions within our team. So it's not like you're going to be able to watch film or really know what's going on in the scope of the game. But I think, championship is definitely our ultimate goal. And I tell the kids, you count off the games, and we have 14 regular season games and 3 or 4 postseason games. So our goal coming into the season is go 18-0. Obviously, that's not going to be the outcome right now, but now we're shooting for 16-2. And,
right.
We'll just keep getting after it every single game and keep progressing. And as long as we can keep doing that, as long as we can stay healthy and COVID free, I don't see why we can't end up.
Yeah, that sounds like something I'd like to hear my coach say. I'll tell you that. Coach, we appreciate it. Good luck against Pelham this week for sure, and good luck down the road. We'll talk again soon for sure. Thanks again.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And again, Josh Knight, head coach / athletic director at Campbell High School. The Cougars, impressive for sure. 6 games into the season. What'd you think there, Eric?
I thought it was awesome. I love what he said about the kind of that 18-0 and kind of having that mentality and set those expectations for yourself.
Right.
And when you set those high expectations, it's going to push the kids to try to play at their highest level. And like I said, I love what he said about that. And it sounds like he's doing all the right things to help, whether it's this year or I'm sure it's going to be in the very near future getting that ultimate goal of that championship. Yeah.
Speaking of championships, you two have something in common, right? Both national champs.
I guess so, yeah. I guess so.
I'm surrounded by national champions here. Makes me feel good about myself, huh? All right, speaking of national championships, Mike Skiamana, he may be another one in the not too distant future. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but St. A's red hot. Quarterfinal win yesterday, and trying to keep it moving forward for sure. We got Mike Skiamana, head coach of the Hawks, next. You are watching the FNLNH Lacrosse Show, presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school varsity and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at FNLNHmedia@gmail.com. That's FNLNHmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. Hour number 2 of the FNLNH Lacrosse Show. It's presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Nick Anastas, Eric Coburn here with you. Hour number 2, we focus on the NCAA tournament. Right now, the NE10 tournament taking place. St. Anselm, very good season to this point. They advanced yesterday with a victory. They're in the semifinals. They will host Pace coming up later this week. And joining us now to talk about it is head coach Mike Skiamana, joining us from the Hilltop. Coach, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
Talk about really a dream season to this point, an unbeaten record. I know that this is the year of all years when it comes to an asterisk, perhaps, because of the COVID-19 situation, which has been difficult to navigate over the last year plus. But your guys have done that, and they've done it in impressive fashion. Most recently, a 25-5 undressing of Assumption yesterday in that quarterfinal round over at Grapponi Stadium. Coach, how talented, in short, is this group? And is it national championship or bust at this point? Is that fair to say, or am I just getting a little excited here on a Sunday morning?
I wouldn't say national championship or bust. That's something that we've definitely discussed as a potential for us, but we have a long road ahead of us before we even really entertain that. So it's just been a great season for us. It's myself and Anthony Nardella, our assistant coach, we both took over the program 6 years ago, and our seniors now are our first true recruiting class that we were able to see, as juniors and seniors, and brought in a really talented and really special group of guys with those seniors. And we've kind of had 2021 circled for a number of years as really feeling like this was going to be our best team we've ever had. We were just hoping and praying that we'd be able to play a season this year, and we've been able to, and our guys have really stepped up, not only on the field but off the field. It's just there's so much stuff you have to do to make sure you're getting those negative COVID tests 3 times a week to continue to play. So it has been definitely a special season in a lot of different ways.
I want to jump on that point with you as well. Last week we had Coach Senator Franklin Pierce on the program. He opened our eyes a little bit to what goes on with those COVID-19 protocols. How challenging has that been for you and your staff over the last 13 months?
Yeah, it's definitely been a challenge. We've done a really good job. Our guys have done a really good job of doing the right things off the field, to make sure they're limiting exposure to other people, whether it's off of our campus or even on our campus. And I think I probably spend more time talking to our guys at the end of practices and at the end of games about the importance of making the right decisions with who you're around and what you're doing than I have about what we're doing on the field. It's just It's just so, it just doesn't end, and we have to have 43 negative COVID tests 3 times a week to make sure we continue to play. So our guys have given up a lot, like their social life. There are restrictions even on the amount of people who can be in a room or in an apartment on campus, and so it's definitely been a challenge. Our guys have stepped up; they've done a great job, and we were one of a handful of teams in our conference that got to play 10 games in the regular season.
Right. Coach, is there any light at the end of the tunnel at this point with the COVID-19 situation? You mentioned it's a sacrifice on a number of fronts. It seems like in a lot of ways, nationally, worldwide, maybe we've kind of turned that corner. Do you expect these stringent protocols to still be in place, let's say a year from now or even a few months from now when the fall academic year begins again? I mean, where are we from the NCAA perspective with this thing right now with COVID-19?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're trending in the right direction. Just all I can really speak about is my team, and I want to say maybe 30 of our guys have at least got their first vaccine shot. And so the thing that does, that's kind of a game changer, because what it does is if you are around somebody, obviously, who tests positive, you don't need to quarantine. And so once we get all of our guys, next year it will be, but in the fall, all of our guys will be fully vaccinated, and therefore the quarantine portion of it is hopefully not going to be something that we have to deal with. So if someone gets it, that guy goes down, for however long it is, until he's back, and everyone else can continue to move forward. The issue that other teams and us at times in the fall, and not in the fall, but beginning of the spring, we had a couple issues where we had to quarantine some guys. But there are teams out there that have missed 10 days at a time, multiple times already this spring, and that obviously sets those guys back significantly. You don't do anything for 10 days. You don't have a stick in your hand for 10 days, or an entire team can't practice for 10 days. That's obviously a challenge.
Coach, you talked a little bit about the senior class for you. When they were freshmen, you guys went to the finals for the NE10 conference. How has that senior class kind of helped the younger guys kind of explain those experiences from their freshman year of how they kind of used that information going towards the NE10 playoffs this year as you guys approach the semifinals?
Yeah, those guys have been awesome. They're such great leaders. We have a number of guys in that senior class that are leaders, and those guys have changed our program around. It started in 2018 with that senior class. They did a phenomenal job getting us to the NE10 championship. We beat Lemoyne in the semifinals, which was obviously a great experience for our freshmen. I want to say like 8 or 9, maybe even 10 of them played as freshmen. So it was the first time our program's ever been in a conference championship, and those freshmen, that's all they knew. So I think that has been huge for them to have that confidence, to know that we can compete with the best teams in the country. And they've been talking about for the last 4 years that they want to compete for a conference championship. They want to compete for a national championship, and they have an opportunity to do that this year for sure. So they've brought those freshmen along. Some of those freshmen and sophomores also, though, it's funny. They don't know anything different than winning. Our sophomores and our freshmen have not lost a game yet, knock on wood, in our program. And so, like, we played Dartmouth the other night, and I think some of our seniors were like, they didn't play quite as well. And some of our freshmen and our sophomores were just like, they don't know any better. They competed. They crushed it. One of our sophomores had 5 goals in the first half. But those guys are super talented. We got the leadership from our seniors. So it's really been a good blend of youth that's really talented, seniors with great leadership and great experience. I think that's helped us early in the season, and it's going to need to carry into the postseason, where those guys have played a lot of NE10 lacrosse. There are teams out there, if you're relying on freshmen and sophomores and even juniors, some of those guys haven't played many NE10 lacrosse games or even big NE10 lacrosse games. And so our guys who are seniors and juniors have.
Right. Speaking of big games, obviously the semifinal against Pace is looming. Potentially the NE10 championship would also be played at your place. Is this the biggest challenge so far, Coach, that you're facing with the other three semifinalists all being New York teams that your team has not seen yet this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something we're going to talk about this week. Tomorrow and Tuesday is just this is the best team we've played. But we'll focus, I think, a lot more on ourselves and what we need to do to have the success that we've had all season long. I think that's really key for us. Obviously, we're scouting our opponents. We're talking about what they do. We're game planning. But if we play our game, our systems, for disciplined, I think we put ourselves in a good position to play with anyone in the country, and hopefully that's the case on Wednesday night.
Yeah, Coach, I've been on and off covering St. Anselm for the last 10 years or so. I don't remember the last time this kind of buzz has been generated from your group, from this men's lacrosse team at this point.
They are men.
They are men for sure, and they're playing like men, blowing people out. It's good to see from a Hawk fan, so to speak. Good luck, Coach, this week against Pace. We'll follow up with you down the road for sure, and we appreciate you taking the time here this morning.
Absolutely, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. That, again, is Michael Skiamana, head coach of St. Anselm. Been there 6 years already. I didn't realize he had been there that long. His group, as you said, or as Coach just said, Eric, they've had this year with this group kind of circle for a while now, and it seems like that those expectations, as high as they may have been, have come true, at least to this point, unbeaten.
No, 100%. And what Coach has done with that program since he's taken over has been awesome. I mean, I think maybe 2015, maybe they had 2 wins that year, so that's a very quick rise to where they are at right now, and kind of like we talked about earlier, that senior class that he talks about being special, his first recruiting class he kind of had, like riding those seniors, and the seniors kind of set the example and lead the way. So those guys are gonna steer the ship. So, and
of course he's taking it the one game at a time approach, but we're getting the hour's getting late here. NCAA tournament. First of all, as you mentioned, only 10 teams get in Division II, so the fact that they may have the resume, win or lose, in the conference tournament to get in anyway speaks volumes to what they've done so far. But then the path becomes clearer, right? Once you're in that spot in the national tournament. I mean, you did it a few years ago with Merrimack. Is being in that situation, can it be overwhelming for the players, knowing that, we're only a few wins away here from being potentially national champions?
Yeah, I mean, it's cliche, but they say you don't know what you don't know until you get there. And when we went to the NCAA tournament my first couple of years, we fell a little short, and we lost to a Lemoyne team who ended up winning the title one of the year, and they had seniors who had won a title before. So the experience can be overwhelming, but like I said, it's falling back on those seniors who have been in those tough games before. Like I said, they've played an NE10 championship, which is a high stakes game. So kind of those high level games, those seniors need to help calm down those freshmen who haven't been there before.
Right. All right. We appreciate Coach Skiamana coming on, and again, St. Anselm will host Pace later on this week in the Northeast 10 semifinals. Reminder, our broadcast schedule this week looks like this. The big gem is tomorrow afternoon, 4 o'clock start, unbeaten Bishop Girton versus unbeaten Exeter. 2 heavyweights in Division I on the boys' side colliding. First of 2 meetings this week. We are there on the ground with the live play-by-play call tomorrow beginning at 3:45. Opening face-off is at 4. If you can't watch it live, don't worry. It'll be up on our YouTube channel, FNLNH Media. And then, this is unofficial, we did get the word last night. We're going to be in Oyster River on Thursday afternoon to check out the Bobcats, Oyster River and Newmarket, combining under one banner. They are hosting Timberlane on Thursday. That's a 5 o'clock start. We'll be there as well. I want to thank our guests, Matt Johansmeyer of Bedford, Josh Knight of Campbell. We just heard from Coach Skiamana of St. A's, and our New Hampshire Tomahawks Player of the Week is Spencer Clark of Exeter. And I want to thank you, Eric, for coming down. It's been a great time. Glad you were available. You bailed me out for sure. And I hope you had some fun this morning.
Yeah, this was a blast. I had a lot of fun.
Good. We'll bring you back in
sounds
before
like
you know
plan.
it, for sure. All right. I want to thank Ben Beals, the director, the man behind the curtain. The executive producer, of course, is Steve Beals, who is up here in the Shire. for this week before he goes back down to Florida. So we appreciate Steve helping out yesterday big time as well. All right, my name, Nick Anastas, saying so long. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon. BG at Exeter at 4 o'clock. This has been a presentation of the FNLNH Lacrosse Show presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks.